Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of Gotham City Chronicles. With me always for Gotham City Chronicles is my guy, comic book RP Covey. What is up?
A lot. I'm drowning, honestly, but yeah, it's good. I think we kept to our monthly pace almost.
Yeah, we're staying close. We're staying in the ballpark of monthly.
Yeah, so. Roughly. But this one wasn't a heavy lift to read. It was
not
pretty quick. I mean, I think I read it 2 months, like 6 to 8 weeks ago for the first time, and then I reread it earlier today within 20 minutes or something. The two issues. So
it's pretty short, but it is, it's interesting one.
Yeah.
So with us tonight we have the unruly Simeon. What is going on, my friend?
What's up, y'all? I'm going to call it right here. It sucks. Good night.
All right. Well, I guess we're done.
Yeah. All right. That saves me 50.
I think we can dig a little deeper. All right, let's see who is in the chat before we dig into this. We got Sharon Life with 2 YouTubers who says she was technically first because you don't count because you were cheating and on the show, unruly. So we got Deep House. What's going on?
Yo.
Let's see. I can never say Ararangian.
That is a word. That is a wordplay challenge right there.
Yeah, he's interested to see what we have to say about this. Well, and some of the meh action. Yeah. All right, so I know there's several other things going on YouTube, so I don't know how big an audience we'll have tonight, but that's okay. So we got Unruly's first reaction to Neil Gaiman's Batman story.
I don't know if that was real or if that was just a joke to throw people off the other direction, the other scent.
I don't know. So, Covey, what was your just initial thoughts on this?
Well, for me, I mean, Neil Gaiman is a motherfucking genius. Let's just start there. Like, Sandman is probably. Hey, what's up, Ruben? I think Sandman is probably I mean, it's not an indie series. DC puts it out, and it was done through Vertigo and all that. But I still consider it sort of like my favorite indie series, even though it's not. It's just one of my all-time favorites, and I really do appreciate his writing and his work in general. So I'm a big gaming guy, gaming fan, and I really enjoyed it. But I also don't think somebody going into this should expect a traditional Batman story from out of Neil Gaiman. It's not really that. It's like an existential, philosophical look at Batman and who he is through sort of a almost like metaphorical, poetic sort of afterlife, equation of what Batman is. And it's not a very straightforward story. It's essentially Neil Gaiman trying to sort of tell the final Batman story ever told, and I think that's even in the foreword that was concept. And it's it doesn't matter what Batman stories have been written before or what Batman stories will be written in the future. You could point to this and be like, this is the final Batman story, because it pretty much in retrospect explains Batman, who he is to the core, and why he keeps doing what he's doing over and over and over and over again, under the guise of him attending his own funeral and having kind of like a what's the parallel I can make, like It's a Wonderful Life, the Batman version or something like that, kind of,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to sort of be like, okay, this Batman story versus Hush, or this Batman story versus Year One, or anything like that, because it just isn't that. I think it's like this standalone art piece of Neil Gaiman appreciating Batman in a very Neil Gaiman style way. So I don't know if I really answered that, but I like it, but it's just not. It's not like a story that has a plot from beginning, then there's a mystery to solve, then there's a bunch of action and clues, and then he solves the mystery, and then there's a climactic whatever, there's inciting incident to get you towards some sort of conclusion. It's just not that, So anybody expecting that going in might be like let down quite a bit. Potentially, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Before I go to mine, Unruly, would you like to expand on your it sucks from the beginning?
I totally agree with Kavi. Gaiman is a freaking genius. Sandman is probably the pinnacle of 4-color storytelling.
Yeah.
There are pages in there in Sandman and two panel throwaways where he picks up an idea, riffs on it a little, and then just throws it away. And I'm talking about ideas other people could build careers on. That's how good Sandman is. So for me, this was more than a little disappointing. I was expecting something more knock your socks off. But it's not bad. That's not to say it's bad or I didn't like it. But
well, here's my counterpoint to that. We would have heard a lot more about it if it was, it would be talked about among all the other Batman stories. Like, we were like surprised to even learn that there was a Neil Gaiman Batman story. Like, you didn't know about it, Unruly, right? Like, when we hit you up about it, you were like, I had no idea. Like, that's because it was 2 issues, one in Batman, one in Tech, and it was just this like conceptual thing, and then it just came and went. It wasn't something that like shook up the whole Batman universe and continuity, right? It was outside of everything, really.
Yeah. So I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. And I feel like, here's my thing, is like, I've never read Sandman. I've not read a lot. I've read just enough Gaiman to know that he's really good, generally. Yeah. And Sandman is high on my list of things I need to get to. I feel like he was going for something here, like this whole concept of like Batman is sort of eternal and there's basically all these different versions, but he's always going to be this crusade and everything else. And I just didn't feel like he hit the mark. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like, because it was really like, it wasn't, it's a Wonderful Life, Batman. It's a Wonderful Death, because it was all about like how he fails at the end of each of these. And some of the ones, like, and they weren't particularly, not that all of his like versions would, die heroically, but these were like the ones he focused on were kind of pathetic ends. I felt like they weren't, I don't know. For me, it just didn't quite hit I like the concept that he was trying to go for, like this interesting, different take of, what Batman is and how Batman is sort of going to be eternal because of it and all this kind of stuff. I just felt the way he tried to tell, I felt like he just didn't quite hit it. I guess is the best way I can put it. Like, for me, and we'll dig into like some of the details, but like some of these stories about how he falls, they were kind of weird and they didn't really make sense. And I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Like, I like that he went for something. I just don't think he hit it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can go with that, because here's the deal. Like, say, in an infinite number of worlds, every one of these is going to happen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
For me, some of the ways he died are, so all right, you got an infinite number of possibilities. You're Neil fucking Gaiman, and you pick some of these lame ones to take him out on. That's how I felt about it. Like, with the one with the Riddler, that was just, I didn't dig that at all. But I
was that the one with the actor, where all the actors are playing the villains, and Alfred's playing,
like Alfred, like,
and then that was a great game.
I loved that one. I loved it.
That was the only one that even sort of worked for me. Like, and even that one, I was like, but the Catwoman one didn't work for me at all.
Right.
Like, I didn't think. Like, that one didn't.
The payoff didn't work. Everything leading up to it was okay.
The artwork worked for me on the Catwoman one, but not necessarily the story.
I will say,
Hubert did a great job on both issues, I think.
Yeah, I think the artwork is fantastic, and we'll get into that. But like, I just didn't think. Yeah, for me, some of the stories just didn't work. Well, let's go ahead.
That story with the framing device with Alfred having to keep Bruce engaged and taking on the persona of the Joker, that's game and genius.
Yeah,
I just didn't like the way it ended with the Riddler taking him out. I was just like, come on.
Right.
That's
see, I guess when I was reading it, I didn't get too hung up on how he was being taken out in these scenarios because I knew none of them were real. You know what I mean? Like, like I knew. I mean, but I understand what you're saying. Like, he could have made those pathways to the quote unquote deaths a little bit more interesting, or.
It just, for me, it just took me out of the story. It was like, what? It was like, oh, you're trying to set up something. Like, I felt like he was setting something up that was interesting and then didn't finish it with something that was interesting. Like,
yeah, and I don't know. Maybe that's a function of giving Neil Gaiman 2 issues to do something. Like, anything, like if you were to stop reading Sandman at issue 2, you know what I mean? Like, I've never read anything this short by Neil Gaiman before. This is like the shortest thing I've ever read by him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just didn't completely work. I thought like I said, I thought it was an interesting concept. I thought it was different, and I liked the whole, like, that he's sort of eternal and he's looking from the outside, and he's at his funerals, but he's about to just be born again, and like all of it. I like the overall concept. I just the components just didn't work for me, I guess is the only way I can put it.
But let's go back to that Alfred is the Joker, man.
I love that.
The same body type. And it explains how maybe the Joker can fight because Alfred had the combat training and was British special forces.
Speaking of Alfred, I mean, this Alex Ross cover is amazing. It's the best. The Kubert interior art is great, and I think the Kubert covers of both issues are fine. Like, I'm not knocking them, but this Alex Ross. The alternative cover to this is this the second issue of the?
I think it's the second issue.
The first or the second, but this one's like this. This is probably my all-time favorite Alfred cover. It's an epic Alfred cover, and I don't know if maybe
the first one. I guess it is the first one.
It is the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
And Thunderhouse makes a good point, and I get that. It's not your conventional Batman story at all. It's sort of like Batman, the concept of Batman has so permeated this reality. Look at the effect it's had on us as pure fiction. In this story, we're supposed to believe that it's real. And I totally understand what you're saying, Thunderhouse. If anybody else had written this, I might be thinking differently, but it's Gaiman, for fuck's sake. It's Gaiman. It's the same reaction I had with The Killing Joke. I mean, here's Alan Moore. Oh, my God. He's writing a prestige Batman story, and it was mediocre.
Right, but my counterpoint or argument against that is so many people seem to love The Killing Joke, and it's touted as one of the great. It's so beloved. It
still drives me crazy.
Touted and whatnot. Whereas this isn't. It's not like you have people like we waited till episode 26 to get this, and we only stumbled across the fact that it existed because I love this Alex Ross cover so much. Honestly, is how I know. Like, otherwise, because the slab saying Neil Gaiman's story is how I found out that he had written Batman at some point that I missed, So,
well, it's somebody in the chat saying it was a transition story between creators.
It was an homage. It was an homage to the Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore. So it is like, to Thunder's point, it is an accompanying piece, kind of. To that.
Yeah, it was intended to be a similar kind of wrap up of an era because they were ending the numbering on Batman and on Detective Comics. They were getting ready to launch the new 52, and so they wanted that's where the last Batman story. Like, if you were going to tell one, even though we're going to relaunch him here in a second, tell the last one that would work at any point. And again, I think the concept is good. Just some of the execution doesn't work for me.
Right.
And like the Alfred as Joker is a really interesting take. I would love to have seen a little more of that. The actual like Joker thing that's like the Catwoman one didn't work for me at all. And then they got into this whole like. Then some of the other villains got like a single panel, like to say how they like did it, and it was just.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, the twist. I mean, the quote unquote. I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, everybody know. I mean, anyone who's watching this should probably be. I mean, by now aware that this is a spoiler show. But you know that secondary narrator. You know, like I actually didn't see it coming that it was going to be. You know, that was going to be his mom. Like that reveal. Like I didn't see it coming, but I didn't on that particular stinger page or that reveal page or whatever you want to call it. Not stinger, reveal page. I didn't like how there was 2 panels up at the top that you had to read first, and then you got a 3/4 splash of Martha Wayne below that. So my eyes immediately went towards the bottom panel, and like I feel like if you're gonna have a reveal like that, put those 2 panels on the page before and then reveal it on the flip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean that's a very. Yeah, that's a very specific critique, but like that kind of blew the reveal to me. You know,
there's no reason, like the way this page is set up, the previous page is set up, that you couldn't have had these reduced a little bit, had those 2 little boxes on either side of this image,
and then have that be a full splash,
and then you flip to the reveal that it's his, it's his mom, that the other narrator here, like guiding him through his funeral.
Is his mom,
is his mother, and like, or his funerals, because it's really multiple ones. You're getting all these different versions of what happened to him,
right? Or it's just
that the room is changing,
or it's just a spirit, showing up sort of in the image of his mother. It's not necessarily his mother, but she does specifically quote some things about his childhood and them reading that book together or whatever. And Alfred mentioned that earlier in his funeral speech, right? That like that was the definition of happiness or something like that when they were like sitting together reading that what was that book? Bat book or something? Like I was like, there's a children's book with like a scary bat on it.
It's the Good Night book, and it had a bat on the cover.
Yeah, the Good Night.
Yeah, because that's the shtick he ended it with. Remember?
He ended it with the pretty much an homage to that within all the Batman universe like terminology that everybody knows. I really enjoyed the art of that like 4 or 5 page sequence though to end the story. Yeah. I really like that artwork. So
Kubert is one of those guys. He's not flashy, but he's just damn good and just underappreciated. I love it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this now. I will tell you this right now.
I was laughing at that comment too, man. That's hilarious.
If I live to be 1,000, if I never ever have to see the goddamn crime alley Pearl scene again, that'd be just fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, this was Batman like 686. I mean, a lot more people have done it since then, so you can't really yell at it. I mean, how long ago was this out? Like 20 years ago?
Well, 15 years ago? Like, and I get it because they overused the pearls way too much. But for me, given the nature of what they were doing here, it actually fit for once.
Kind of, I agree with that.
It actually kind of fits in this particular story, given what he's doing here. But yeah, like we've seen the pearls a couple of times at this point. We all know. I'm going to say that, like, for maybe the first time ever, I'm like, I question Gore's taste, but
shots fired.
Everyone knows how I feel about the Killing Joke, so let's we'll I
mean, I pretty much agree with Ruben's comment about the Killing Joke. Whereas I thought the story was just kind of so, but the Bullen art is so good that it just stands up.
Yeah.
And
So.
I don't remember if Camelot 3000 was before or after Killing Joke, but I don't know that Boland's done interiors since. It's been nothing but cover.
I don't know.
And he is just
Yeah, I
so
don't know.
damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of things about the Killing. We've done a show on that. If anybody's interested in my opinions on the Killing Joke, they
Go
can
back and watch Jay.
They can go find JP's hot take.
They can watch Jay Hood cry while JP talks about his hatred for the Killing Joke. It was,
but here's the deal:
time.
Killing Joke was a prestige one shot, and up to that point, the prestige format had only been used a handful of times,
Right?
And it was heavily touted, and Moore was fresh off Swamp Thing and Watchmen. So I mean, that's why another reason we've all heard of it.
For sure.
But Kubert,
Camelot was before.
Mm-hmm.
Kubert is like, I love the dude, man. He's just, I want to compare him to Buscema just for the output he does and the wide range of books he's done. Not that their style is anything similar, but I mean, he's a workhorse who is just that far away from being considered one of the greats to me.
Yeah, let's transition to the artwork a little bit, maybe.
Yes, let's start some of the artwork, because I think one of the things they talk about in the foreword, and Kubert does, and it's noticeable, but it's not noticeable. It's like he tries to take and represent the different eras as he goes through this.
Mm-hmm.
Like a different artist.
Yeah, like the golden age Catwoman look. Well, first the cat look, and then the Catwoman.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, even in the opening, some of the vehicles, you get some of the more ridiculous kind of golden age.
Yep.
Style.
Yeah, that's the original. Dick Sprang Bat.
Yeah, and you get. You get her look. You even get Batman's costume. When you first get the reveal, it's very much the classic golden age. And
it's very Bob Kane influenced style, which was an intentional decision, I believe, based on the foreword that Neil Gaiman wrote in the trade. But.
Yeah.
And what's another thing that sets it up the time period is the art style, the cars, the costumes, the lack of technology. Yeah. It's all done very well. And another thing I love is that initial scene when they walk in the bar and it's Joe Chill behind the bar.
It's Joe Chill behind the bar.
Yeah. At the beginning, I'm going to be there at the end.
Yeah.
Just all kind of cool little I hate the freaking term Easter eggs, but there's more than one in here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole story is paying homage to Batman's history, and then waxing poetic and getting a little philosophical about it, I guess. It didn't feel like a complete story as a result, and I don't even really consider it a Batman story. It's a prose, piece. It's almost poetry, in many ways, with that coming back to that good night phrase and stuff from the book and stuff. It just has a very poetic feeling to it, versus just a straight up storytelling.
Yeah, but Kubert, he just some of his panels, this whole reveal that Alfred was pretending to be the Joker to give Bruce something to do, and
and hiring all his actor buddies to play everybody, all the other characters.
Yeah, all the other villains were just actor friends.
And then he kind of has a nervous breakdown a little bit. It's was everything a lie?
Yeah.
And the whole thing was kind of meta, where the actors get
very meta
up in the roles that it becomes real to them. That was was that a function of Batman's pathology, or was that
right? Well, I do love that scene where it's him and it's Bruce and trying to hang on to his control, and Bruce is like kind of losing it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he sees the bat signal out there, and Alfred's like, but wait a minute, I didn't tell them to turn it on. So now it was like the prophecy got fulfilled anyway, or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, when that sequence happened, I had to stop and was like, wow, that's Neil Gaiman, like that's like good shit right here. I really enjoyed that part of the quote unquote story.
I will say, like, and just flipping back through this, like the first issue is also like I didn't really register it, but there's not really like splash page. There's like the one Joker kind of splash, but it's really very much more of a traditional. I mean, obviously, it's not always like 9 panels or whatever, but it's very much panels, storytelling, more classic storytelling. Whereas then you get into issue 2, you get splashes and you get different, like as it's kind of coming into more modern part of the thing. Like you
can go big screen, put us on the side if you're showing the stuff. I mean, may as well.
But yeah, so like the first issue where they're really paying a lot of homage to like the old school stuff, it's very much block and kind of a traditional storytelling, golden silver age kind of thing. And then the second issue, same artist, and you start getting this kind of stuff that we showed earlier and panels like this, and that you just don't get in the first issue. Like it completely changes. You don't get the traditional panels. You get, much more artistic kind of. Yeah. And I think it was an interesting way to kind of tell it. And so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, like that. Like I said, the last 6 pages. I think it's 6, maybe 5. But that whole sequence, I think, was my favorite art of the whole 2-issue run. Even right down to the double page spread of just the bat signals. The bat signal transitioning into the bat signal, transitioning to the arms. Yeah, or that was 2 double page spreads, I guess, in a row. Yeah. I thought that. I mean, it's not. There's not a ton going on those pages, but it's brilliant still to me.
Very cleverly designed and executed.
Yeah. There's that Alfred cover again. So, if you'll indulge me on that Alfred cover again, real quick, I brought a picture, so I'm gonna do a share screen or whatever. But I was able to. I had the pleasure of standing in front of that and taking a picture of it a couple years ago at the Society of Illustrators. So there's the original artwork, the Alex Ross Batman 686. Ignore the glare of the dumb guy taking the picture.
Nice reflection.
Yeah, exactly. I'm part of the cover in that image, but I wanted to bring that for the episode and share it. So, but yeah, 9/8 baby. So, to me that's just a stunning Alfred cover, like just an iconic image of Alfred.
Yeah, it is definitely an iconic image.
It's stunning. It is just stunning to me. Yeah.
So we've only been going 30 minutes, but this is only 2 issues. What else do you guys want to dig into here? How much?
I mean, we could talk a little bit about the backup stories, although I don't have a ton of context around the backup stories, like exactly when they came out and who the artist was. Like, I assume Neil was involved in all of those backup stories.
He was, right?
Yeah. Alex Ross can make Howard the Duck stunning for sure, man. I mean, I kind of like Howard the Duck, but I like Frank Bruner's Howard the Duck too quite a bit. But
the one story we all actually read and liked, Black and White World, was Simon Bisley. Is that how you say his name?
Was that Bisley? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it looks like his work. Yeah.
Now, in that last really lame Riddler story, there's a cool little blurb where they're interviewing the man on the street about the villains of Gotham. And
one
of the men on the street they ask is Constantine.
No,
Right. Yeah, see that was my least favorite of the backup stories, the one with like the news crew and they're trying to develop all these, whatever late night like these news segments about all these villains and in Gotham and everything. I just kind of got bored during that one personally a little bit.
Yeah, that one just kind of lost me. I was like,
but I enjoyed the black and white one because it was just so obnoxious. It was like Joker and Batman, acting their roles and like kind of criticizing Hollywood. It was just funny. You know, it was really a good time, that one. That was a Batman black and white issue, I think, right? Or something like that. And then the Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy kind of in prison story. That one was, I got through that one. I wasn't bored during it, but I also didn't quite understand when that happened, in what book, and why it was being included in this trade. I guess just because Neil had something to do with it. This is like the Neil had something to do with Batman trade, I guess, because maybe they just don't want to print, a 2-issue trade because that is kind of slim.
Yeah. But yeah, the little Pavon thing, or what do they call it? Pavon? Yeah. That he had done.
Yeah, that was called Pavon, I think. Yeah.
And like I had never read that before. I'd heard it was like an Ivy origin, which I sort of, I guess. I don't know. That one, I was a little disappointed in that one too. I was like, I don't know. It didn't go. Again, it was one issue, so I guess that was part of my thing. Is that I just felt like there wasn't. I would like it to have gone deeper, I guess.
The Poison Ivy one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like there was something there, but
there was something. It felt like the first issue of a 6-issue mini that never got continued or something.
Yeah.
It
felt like, to me, like, we read the Harleen thing that they did recently. Like, to me, this felt like a great, like, potentially a really cool start to a similar like Ivy thing that was done before, but it was just like it's one issue.
Wasn't Step John Subject supposed to do an Ivy thing, or did that?
People were saying
did that come out already?
I don't know. Like I don't know if that was ever official, or people were just wanting him to, or there was like a push for him to do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure.
Well, I like the black and white when Joker and Batman are talking between scenes. It goes, and Joker's like, I'm not complaining. Take Mr. Freeze. He'd kill for a bit part. He's on welfare.
That was hilarious. Yeah, like I would actually read that one again just for a laugh. Yeah. I mean, it's funny.
I mean, it is very funny, and it's very like, kind of meta and just
Thunder. They were just throw-ins to this trade so that they could actually print something this thin. Like, otherwise it would be.
That's with the throw-ins.
This is with like 4 extra backup stories thrown in. I mean, that's how short the 2 issues are.
Basically, anything Neil Gaiman did, even slightly related to Batman, is in here.
Yeah.
So there's this black and white world thing that's basically they're actors on a TV show. There's the Poison Ivy one. There's the News Crew one, and then there's a Riddler one, and like a couple of them were like backup stories in other issues. They weren't even like
they weren't. I mean, because really the whatever happened to the Cape Crusader is the only like real Neil Gaiman like if you could even call it an arc. It's not. It's just.
I mean, he was originally
it's a piece that he did.
He'd originally proposed an arc that never happened. And that's what he thought they were calling him about in the thing, in the forward, and then he ended up doing this instead. Which
it was Karen Berger, I think, at DC or something. His Sam.
Yeah, it was called Night at the Circus, which obviously was probably a Dick Grayson, Batman kind of origin, redoing that kind of thing. Which maybe or maybe not, I don't know. Just based on the name, I would think that was probably something, but which I kind of wish they'd still go back and do, even though I didn't.
I know, but. Yeah. I doubt he'd be interested now.
Probably not. Probably not. You
Yeah.
know, well, that's what he said. He thought they were calling for their $900 they gave him
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
for that story arc.
For the
So,
treatment. Yeah.
all right. Well, I don't know that there's any reason to keep going. I think we all know what our favorite cover is. We usually talk about favorite cover. I think.
I mean, unless you guys disagree with me on that.
No, I don't disagree. I think that's just the thing is
Yeah.
ridiculously
It's
good.
stunning. It's stunning.
And that's not a knock on Kubert. I think, you know,
It's weird how they didn't do a variant for the other issue though. They only did it for that one.
well, they did do a variant, but Andy did the variant as well.
He did both? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did the variant. There is a variant. This is the variant.
Oh, I've never seen that comic anywhere.
Yeah.
Personally.
So he did both covers for the Detective 853.
Well, let me. I forgot to add this. The very ending of the main story.
Hey, Loki.
It fits. Of course, it was the logical place to go, but it's been done so many damn times in fantasy fiction. You know, I'm tired of that. All right, I've come to the end of my quest. And my reward is to be born into it over again. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Thunder's probably right about that because it was modeled sort of after that. I guess.
It was,
and I, I'll admit I haven't read that either. So
I have not. No,
me three.
Yeah,
I mean, I've heard of them. That one I had heard of.
I'd heard of it. I'd heard of it too, but
yeah, but this one, like, I guess I had heard of this one. I don't think I really registered that it was Neil Gaiman, and I just had never heard enough to like prompt me to read it. And I don't know. I think you were the one that because you'd found that cover or whatever.
The cover was the thing that led me to it. I mean, I honestly would not have like actively looked for it if not for that.
Well, you know what? And that Ross cover is so badass, but I mean, there's been only a handful of his covers that weren't.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But you rarely see Alfred solo on a cover. Just tell me another time with something that iconic looking, and memorable. I can't remember one. I'm sure there are other covers with Alfred solo, but none that.
Wait, I was gonna say. Well, he does say least cynical. I was gonna say Alan Moore not cynical with superheroes.
No, his least cynical.
His least cynical.
Yeah.
So still pretty cynical.
But still pretty cynical.
I was gonna say, I can't imagine it's not like like for anybody else that means it would be extremely cynical. So,
right.
But well, I think
we could attempt to do our ranking discussion, but it's just so different and off the wall.
Yeah, I don't even know where I put my list. I didn't get my list out tonight.
Among the 26 that we've read and talked about on this podcast, I would put it in like the 15 to the 20s, like of that, somewhere in there. Like definitely not top 10, definitely probably not top 15, but I wouldn't stick it near the bottom half either, like the 20 to 26 or the, that range. So I would probably put it somewhere in that 15 to 20 out of the 26 that we've read specifically, out of all Batman. I wouldn't even put it on the list if I was doing, just my ultimate Batman ranking or whatever. But yeah.
So I'm looking at this, because I just found my list where I kind of put them down in order. So to me, it would probably go lower than that. It would go, and it's not necessarily bad, but like things like Earth 1, I have around like 20th of what we've read.
Right. We just have read a lot now at this point.
Yeah, and Batman Ego is 18th, and like Batman TMNT is like 19th. To me, it's going to go down there somewhere.
That's kind of what I said. I said 15 to 20. I just don't know where. I think, if Batman Ego is like around number 18 on your list, I don't remember where it was on my list. I think it was higher. I think it was a little higher.
Well, it was when we read it. It's consistently gotten
true. Yeah, that was like 5 or 6 episodes ago. So,
where do y'all have that Batman 100?
Year 100? That's in my top 10 for sure. it's over time it's gotten closer to the top 5 and others have fallen out of the top 5. So to me, it's somewhere between 5 and 10, maybe like 7 right now. If I had to think about it, 7 or 8. I love Batman Year 100 so much.
So for me, it's currently sitting like the last time I did this and kind of tried to put them in order was 11 is where it fell.
That's pretty respectable. Yeah.
And like, but I mean, it's really like clumps for me. There's like,
right.
And then it's like anything within 1 or 2 or 3 spots on some of these are probably you could rearrange. The next time I did, I might rearrange them.
Yeah, totally. Well, my number 1 is and always has been since I first ever read it, Year 1, and I pretty much say that every episode. So Miller and Mazzucchelli, the perfect pairing for me.
It is interesting for me, and obviously we haven't talked about Dark Knight Returns, but if you'd have asked me before we started this what my top 2 of all time were, they were Year 1 and Long Halloween. Like for me, before we started this,
before we started doing the show, exactly.
Before we started the show, and I find it interesting, and we've read some things, and I've loved some things, but those 2 are still 1 and 2. Like
really? See, for me, Year 1's number 1, and Dark Knight Returns is number 2, but we're not putting it on the list because we haven't read it yet.
We haven't read it yet.
Because we're just kind of like being jerks about it, I guess.
Everybody keeps asking.
Yeah, but Long Halloween is probably in my top 5 as well. I don't know if it's in the 3rd spot or the 4th spot or whatever, but I am a big fan of it. So we're pretty much close on our preferences.
I will say, like, the other things that were in like my top 5 beforehand have definitely like not held up as well as those 2.
Hush continues
to not hold up.
Hush continues to kind of get chopped down on the list over time for me. I still just am bonkers about the Jim Lee artwork and that. It's amazing stuff. But the story doesn't hold up as well on every reread I've ever done. I think I've read it 4 times. I think
there's so many holes.
Yeah.
Well, I bought the Long Halloween Omni after you guys did it, and because I had never read it, I like it.
It's good, man.
Yeah, I really like the Long Halloween. I don't know. It and Dark Knight Returns were like 2-3, and they've always
Dark Victory wasn't bad either. We did that with
it actually ended up higher than I expected.
I liked it, so I didn't think it was as strong as Long Halloween, but it was it was a solid accompanying piece to Long Halloween.
So I currently have it toward the bottom of my top 10, which. Again, it's probably would be in the same cluster that like it's in the top 10 and Year 100's just out, and it's probably in that same cluster that I could reorganize, like with Black Mirror, and Hush is now down there with that group. Those could probably be reordered. But yeah, for me, it's like Year 1, Long Halloween, and then the next tier is like White Knight, Batman the Cult, Court of Owls,
White Knight and Curse of the White Knight. I kind of consider it just like one big story, honestly, at this point in my head.
Yeah. I have them ranked separately, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I technically would rank them separately, and I would put White Knight 1 spot above Curse of the White Knight, but they would literally be in sequential spots. So
I actually currently have the Cult between them.
Oh, really?
I don't know why, but
the Cult's fantastic. I think White Knight for me is my number 5 pick, and like I have Year 100 probably my number 7. So it's like White Knight and Curse of the White Knight are my 5 and 6.
And then Year 100. Yeah.
I just love Sean Murphy's stuff.
Yeah,
it's total Elseworlds bananas, but in a good way,
Yeah. All right. What about you, Unruly? What's your just out of curiosity? What's your favorite Batman?
Be Dark Knight and then Year 1.
Yeah, it's popular choice.
Dark Knight was just such a game changer when it came out. It was.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. It was the first time in my adult life that I was like, "Holy shit, Batman is a good comic."
Yeah.
But then Year 1 came along and just, I was thinking, for some reason at work today, I was thinking a lot about year one and about, does it really break any new ground? But but it's just so damn good. I mean,
It's just to me, it's the perfect execution of the origin story, and then
he distilled it
and
so
then how he
perfect.
continues on from there. Yeah, it's just it's perfect.
And and it's such a good Gordon story. Like,
Yeah,
to me, like what actually makes year one my favorite is the Gordon side of it.
yeah.
Is that we get that much detail. Like the Batman side is, don't get me wrong, is fan-freaking-tastic.
Mm-hmm.
But the Gordon side, to me, is what makes that story for me. Like, it puts it on a different tier. I just think it's so well told. Obviously, the Mazzucchelli art is just ridiculous.
The art is just, I mean, it's
and I stand corrected. It was groundbreaking. Had we learned anything nearly as much about Gordon up to that point?
No,
I don't know, but I bet not.
I would say I agree that that Dark Knight was groundbreaking. Year one was more evolutionary, but it was just the execution was so good. You know what I mean? Like it was like I have a hard time putting Dark Knight above year one just because year one, like, because I don't know, like Dark Knight isolated onto its own. If I were to take that, on a desert island, like that question everybody asks, I would still need the beginning of Batman's story with me somewhere. You know what I mean? And I'm more partial to that whole thing of Batman than I am of the the rough and gruff like DKR Batman guy. Although I love that, and that's my number two. So it's like very difficult to make these kind of choices in these kind of Batman debates. At the end of the day, I can say that the Frank Miller Batman like body of work from the 80s is my favorite Batman. And that's kind of just the better way to say it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely caveat that with the 80s.
Well, you heard me say 80s, so I mean, no
some
offense.
of the more recent stuff. We should, at some point, we'll have to talk about some of the more recent.
I mean, I've been avoiding reading the stuff just because of everything I hear from people who have read it, and it scares me to read, DK3, The Master Race, and stuff like that. Like,
I haven't read it either.
I haven't read it because I don't want to be disappointed.
Exactly, because DK2 was disappointment enough.
Yeah.
Well, and then there was like the Golden Child was another one he did.
Well, that was more recent. That was like literally last year, I think. Yeah. But I mean, that has some mind-blowing Raphael Grandpa artwork. I mean, the Grandpa artwork on Golden Child is mind-blowingly good. It's like kind of that style of Miller in like a modern, 21st century, just mind-blowing way done. Just Grandpa's just a fantastic artist. Haven't read that story yet, but I've admired the artwork from afar on that. Dark Knight. What was the Dark Knight Strikes Again? Was the direct sequel though in between?
Yes.
DK3, The Master Race. I have not read that either because I hear so much negativity about it, and I have the trade sitting on the shelf just waiting, but I'm afraid.
I bought the damn thing in hardback when it came out.
Oh,
really?
Sorry.
I should have bought an 8-ball instead. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't read Last Night on Earth.
I read it. I was not impressed.
Is that meh?
Yeah. So Golden Child is a spinoff of DK3. So you're saying DK3 is fun. Strikes Again was not good. I think
and that's why I'm like stuck because like I don't want to read DK3 until I read Strikes Again.
Well, then like I haven't read either of those two, but I did. What was it? The All-Star Batman and Robin that they never finished.
Right. I like that. But it's not finished really.
Yeah, and some of that was just sort of ridiculous. To me.
In DK2, you get to see what the Flash and the Atom have been up to, and that was the highlight of that story for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know, just the dialogue in the in that All-Star Batman and Robin, and some of the things he says and some of the things other characters say, it's just so ridiculous. It just is. It's just bad. Like that's the one where he's like, I'm the goddamn Batman, and and it's just like, what? So yeah, I don't know. I haven't been inspired to read much more recent Frank Miller Batman.
No, I haven't either.
All right. Well, we are completely off the subject.
Yeah, we're off the rails.
But that's okay. I'm not sure what we're gonna do next. But we
should go from that to the Tom King run next.
I don't know that we're gonna.
Let's have that debate. Let's bring on somebody who really loves that run. And
I don't know that we want to talk about that whole run,
or whatever. Just bits, and we could talk about the controversial parts, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do we want to bring up the Harley Quinn cartoon stuff? Listen,
the fact that they actually put out a statement about that just made me laugh so hard.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Do y'all watch Jen on Comics Will Break Your Heart?
Yeah.
Not really, but I think I've seen her. I've seen her on JP's show, but
her Sunday show last Sunday, they talk about it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
They said.
Oh yeah, that sounds like it would be.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You think Selena would put up with him for like 5 minutes if he didn't? If he didn't, come on. There's no way she goes back again. I'm sorry. I just love the what was it? Tom Taylor put a thing on Twitter, or Instagram, or one of the two. I don't remember. And it was like, sees Batman trending. Looks to see what it's about. Goes back to writing another Batman character, and he has this little picture from one of the movies where Corey's talking about how Dick Grayson is a good lover or whatever. She goes, a more considerate lover or something. Goes back to writing a considerate male Batman character or something. It was just hysterical. It made me laugh. But yeah, it was just like, why would you? The person who said that is just so, yeah.
Yeah,
But all right, well, we're definitely closing in. I think we talked about, we may have a special episode for our 30th.
But we still need 3 other stories to read first.
Yeah, we gotta get there, but I think we can. So
yeah,
I think we know what one of them's gonna be. Maybe. So, all right, thanks everybody for watching. Kavi, you got anything coming up that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot going on. I launched my web store, comicbooksnyc.store, so that's up and running now. You can check it out if you want or not, whatever. But it's been live for like 2 days, so 2 or 3 days. So that's exciting. And then what else do we got? I got the Ruben comic art drop claim show thing that I'm co-hosting on his channel, which he just dropped his channel today, or he just launched it. So that's set this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, on this channel right here, Ruben the Collector's Comic Book Art Gallery. So that'll be fun if anybody's into original artwork. We'll have a bunch of original artwork for sale, or Ruben will, and I'll just be helping him make sure the show happens. And then on Sunday this weekend, I have my first interview on Original Art Hour with a comic book artist, Ario Anandito. So that's at 11 a.m. Eastern, Original Art Hour. It's going to be an interview with him. He's all the way in Asia. So it's an odd timing and all that whole good stuff. 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. So that should be fun, though, hanging out with him. I bought some artwork from him. He drew me some additional artwork out of the kindness of his heart for picking up the published stuff from him. So that'll be fun, and we'll just be kind of going back and forth with him on Sunday. And I think I'm going to be on Jimmy the Geek Aficionado's cocktails and drinks show, or whatever he calls it. Was it Cocktails and Comics or something? On this Thursday, so that's on his. So I have Thursday, Saturday with Ruben, then Sunday with the comic artist interview. So it's after the last few days I've had as well. Original Art Hour Beyond Heritage recap drop. We dropped that last night. So I've been pretty busy on the content machine and the comic book stuff in the last week or so. So yeah, a lot happening.
Yeah. Unruly, are you going to grace us with a video anytime soon, or are you just, just hanging out on other people's channels?
He's happy just like being invited to all these cool things and just.
Well, everybody invites him because,
Yeah, everybody invites him.
I got nothing planned. I might do, because I picked up 5 or 6 pieces since I was on your show, Copy. I was thinking about doing a quick showing my art.
Do it.
I don't know.
Do it, man.
You should.
You should.
Hey, Mastodon, we're just getting out of here.
Oh, what's up, Donnie?
So this week I got Thursday night. We're talking Fables, volumes 14 and 15 on the Indie Show with Unruly will be back, as well as John and Sharon and Rena from Life with Two YouTubers. And then Friday, fingers crossed, we're actually going to have the Usagi Yojimbo discussion on the Indie Show. I think this is our 5th attempt. So we'll see if we can actually get it pulled off this week. And then my usual weekend stuff. I will be around this weekend, so I should have all my usual weekend stuff. So got that coming up. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Gore and Thunderhouse and Ruben. Appreciate it. You guys get Deep House. All gave great comments. So thanks for hanging out, guys, and we will catch you later.